Building wealth in your 30s has almost nothing to do with how much you make, and almost everything to do with 5 things nobody bothered to explain to you before you turned 30 and started panicking. I'm going to say that number again because it matters. 5 things. Not 50, not some 80-step system you'll abandon by Thursday. 5. And here's the part that'll sting a little. You probably already sense a couple of them. You feel them in your gut every time you check your bank app on a Sunday night, and the number's lower than you thought it'd be by now. That feeling? That's not you being bad with money. That's you noticing a gap that nobody ever handed you the tools to close. So let's close it. Not with hustle harder nonsense. Not with just skip the latte. With the actual stuff that moves the needle in the decade that decides whether your 40s feel like breathing room or a slow-motion panic attack. I'm your guy at Inflow Finance, and if you're the kind of person who's smart enough to earn a solid income, but never had anyone sit you down and show you the system to actually keep it, hit subscribe right now. Seriously, that's the whole channel. Smart people, no system, fixing that. Let's go. Number 1, the thing nobody tells you. Your 30s are the highest earning, highest leaking decade of your life, and both of those happen at the same time. You make more than you ever have, and somehow you have less to show for it than you did at 24 sharing a 2-bedroom with 3 people. I remember hitting my first real jump in income. I went from making around $42,000 a year to about $68 almost overnight when I switched jobs. 26 grand more. I thought, okay, this is it. This is when I finally get ahead. 6 months later, my savings account looked exactly the same. Exactly. And I could not figure out where the money went. Here's where it went. And this is what nobody warns you about. It's called lifestyle creep. And in your 30s, it doesn't creep, it sprints. The raise shows up, and within a month your rent's higher because you finally got the place with the in-unit washer. The car payment's bigger. You're the one who picks up the check at dinner now because you can. Little upgrades everywhere, each one totally reasonable on its own. And that's the trap. Every single upgrade is defensible. Nobody upgrades their whole life in one insane weekend. You do it $40 at a time, and $40 a month across 8 or 9 categories is a few $100 a month vanishing into a lifestyle you didn't consciously choose. The math ain't mathing because the money isn't disappearing on anything dramatic. It's disappearing on comfort you barely notice. So here's the fix, and it's stupidly simple, which is why it works. Every time your income goes up, a raise, a new job, a side thing that starts hitting, you take half of that increase and you make it invisible before your lifestyle ever touches it. Not all of it, half. You're allowed to enjoy being alive. Say you get that bump from 60 to 68. That's about $8,000 more a year. Call it roughly $450 more a month in take-home after taxes. You set up an automatic transfer the day after payday. Every time, that moves $225 of it straight into a separate high-yield savings account. Ally, Marcus, Capital One, 360, whatever. Somewhere that isn't your checking, somewhere with a little friction to pull it back out. The reason this works when willpower doesn't is that you never see the money as spendable. Your brain adjusts to whatever's in checking, so you keep the raise honest before your lifestyle gets a vote. I wish somebody had told me this at 28 instead of me figuring it out at 33 after basically donating 3 years of raises to DoorDash and a slightly nicer apartment. And look, if you've already lived through a couple raises that just evaporated, that's not a character flaw. That's the default setting. Everybody's brain does this. You just got the manual a little late, that's all. Number 2, and this one's the quiet killer. Nobody tells you that in your 30s, time stops being your friend and starts sending you an invoice. In your 20s, compound growth is this abstract thing people mention that feels like homework. In your 30s, the clock actually starts ticking loud enough to hear. Let me put a real number on it because vague feelings don't change behavior. Say you invest $300 a month starting at 30. By the time you're 60, at a normal long-run market return, you're looking at somewhere around $300,000. Now here's the gut punch. Wait just 5 years, start that exact same $300 a month at 35 instead of 30, and you end up with closer to $200,000. Same monthly amount, same everything. 5 years of waiting cost you around $100 grand. Not because you put in less, you put in almost the same total, but because the early dollars had the most time to multiply, and those are the ones you skipped. This is the part that actually matters though, and it's the opposite of doom. It means the amount barely matters compared to when you start. You don't need to wait until you can do it properly with some big impressive number. 300 beats 0 by $100,000. Starting messy this month beats starting perfect next year, every single time. And I know exactly what's happening in your head right now because it happened in mine. You're thinking, great, but I don't have a spare $300 a month. My paycheck's already spoken for by the time it lands. Fair, totally fair. So look at where it actually is right now, this week. Open your bank app. Go to the last 30 days. I'd bet real money you'll find somewhere between $80 and $200 a month in stuff you wouldn't miss if it vanished. The $14.99 subscription you forgot about since March. The DoorDash order that came to $38 for what should have been a $12 meal after fees and tip and that surge nonsense. The Target run that was supposed to be toothpaste and ended up being $90. I'm not telling you to never do those things. I'm telling you that redirecting even $100 a month of the stuff you don't even remember buying into an index fund, into a retirement account, into anything that grows is the single highest leverage move available to you in this decade. And it's sitting right there in your transaction history. It's kind of wild, honestly. The money's already leaving your account. You're already affording it. It's just going to the wrong place. You're not broke, you're leaking. Number 3, and this is the one that actually reshapes how you think. Nobody tells you that your savings rate matters more than your salary. Read that again. How much you keep matters more than how much you make. And most people spend their entire 30s chasing the wrong one of those two numbers. I know 2 people, roughly the same age. One makes about $130,000 a year, genuinely impressive income. The other makes around 70. And the 70,000 guy is, on paper, wealthier. More in the bank, more invested, sleeps better. How? The high earner saves basically nothing because his whole life scaled up to match the paycheck, the truck, the house at the top of what the bank would approve, the vacations that look incredible on Instagram. The 70 guy quietly banks 25% of everything and has for years. Here's the thing about a big salary that nobody says out loud. A raise only makes you wealthier if it changes the gap between what comes in and what stays. If your spending rises to meet every dollar, you just bought yourself a more expensive version of paycheck to paycheck. Same treadmill, nicer shoes. So the number to obsess over isn't your salary, it's the percentage you keep. 10% is a real start, 15 strong, 20 and up, and you're genuinely building something. And that percentage is the one number in this whole conversation that you actually control, no boss required. Quick pause. If any of this is landing, if you felt even one of these in your own account, do me a small favor and hit that like button. That's it. That's the whole ask. It genuinely helps this video reach the next person who's lying awake at 11 at night doing money math in their head. And if somebody popped into your mind while I was talking, you know the one, the friend who's crushing it at work but always somehow broke, send this to them. You don't even have to say anything. They'll know. Okay, number 4. And this is the uncomfortable one. Nobody tells you that in your 30s, the biggest threat to your wealth isn't the market, it's not having a buffer between you and one bad month. Here's what actually wrecks people in this decade, and it's almost never the stock market. It's the surprise. The car transmission that goes at the worst time. The medical bill that shows up because your deductible reset and you forgot how that even works. The gap between jobs that lasts 2 months longer than you planned. These aren't rare freak events. In your 30s, they're basically scheduled. You just don't know the date. And without a cushion, every one of those turns into credit card debt at like 26.9% interest, which then quietly eats the returns you were working so hard to build somewhere else. You're filling a bucket with one hand and punching a hole in it with the other. So before you go all in on investing, before the fancy stuff, you build a boring, unsexy pile of cash that just sits there doing nothing. That's the point. It's supposed to do nothing, right up until the day it saves you. Start with $1,000 as your oh no fund, then build toward 1 full month of expenses, then 3. And keep it in a high-yield savings account, not your regular checking, not invested in the market where a bad week could drop it right when you need it. Somewhere it earns a real annual yield, a few percent just for sitting there, but stays liquid and slightly annoying to reach. That friction is a feature. It's the whole point. I learned this the hard way, obviously, because apparently that's the only way I learn anything. My car needed about $1,800 of work back when I had exactly $40 in savings and a whole lot of confidence. That went straight onto a credit card, and I paid for that transmission for the next 2 years thanks to interest. The repair cost $1,800. I probably paid closer to $2,300 by the time it was done. Expensive lesson. Would not recommend the payment plan. A cushion isn't the exciting part of wealth. Nobody brags about their emergency fund at a party. But it's the thing that lets everything else you're building actually stay built. instead of getting cannibalized by life every 18 months. Number 5. The last one, and honestly, maybe the most important, because it's the one that undoes all the others if you get it wrong. Nobody tells you that your 30s are when you have to stop managing money out of fear and start managing it out of a plan. Fear money looks like this. You avoid opening the bank app because you don't want to see the number. You panic save for a few weeks after a scare, then blow it all when the anxiety fades. You bounce between, I'm broke, I can't spend anything, and, screw it, I've been so good, I deserve this, sometimes in the same weekend. That's not a budgeting problem. That's an emotional whiplash problem wearing a budgeting costume. And I get it, because I lived in fear money for years. The Sunday scaries, but for my checking account. The whole thing runs on dread, and dread is exhausting, and exhausted people make bad money decisions. It's a loop. The anxiety causes the mess causes more anxiety. Plan money is calmer, and it's boring in the best way. Every dollar has a job before it arrives. A chunk to bills, a chunk that auto-invests, a chunk to the cushion, and, this is the part people skip, a chunk that's yours to blow with zero guilt. When your fun money is a planned number, spending it doesn't wreck you because it was always the plan. And here's the reframe I want you to actually walk away with, because this is the thing that clicked for me and changed everything. For most of your life, money probably felt like weather, something happening to you. It comes in, it goes out, and you're just standing there hoping it's a good month, bracing when it's not. Building wealth in your 30s is the decade you stop treating money like weather and start treating it like a system you actually run. Not because you got more disciplined, not because you white-knuckled your way to being a different person, but because you set the thing up once so it runs without you having to be a hero every single day. The half-year raise transfer? Automatic. You decided once. The investing? Automatic, pulling on payday before you can feel it. The cushion? Growing on its own in an account you barely look at. The fun money? Already accounted for, guilt-free. None of that requires you to wake up motivated. That's the entire point. Motivation is weather too. Systems are climate. And the wild part is, once it's running, the anxiety fades on its own. Not because you're making more, because you finally know where it's all going. The dread was never really about the amount. It was about not having a map. This is the map. So here's what you actually do, starting this week, not someday. 1. Next time your income goes up in any way, half of the increase gets automated into savings before your lifestyle notices. 2. Find $100 in your last 30 days of transactions and point it at an index fund or retirement account this month. 3. Obsess over your savings percentage, not your salary. 10 is a start, 15 is strong, 20 is real. 4. Build a cushion in high-yield savings before you chase anything fancy. Start at 1,000, climb to a month, then 3. 5. Give every dollar a job before it lands, including the fun money, so you're running a plan instead of running on fear. 5 things. That's it, not 50. And notice, not one of them was make more money, because that was never actually the problem. The problem was that nobody handed you the system. Now you've got it. If this connected, go watch the one I did on setting up that whole automatic money system from scratch. It's basically the step-by-step build for everything I just talked about, the exact transfers and accounts in order. It pairs with this like coffee and a Sunday reset. And I actually want to hear from you on this one. Drop it in the comments. Which of the 5 hit closest to home? Which one did you feel in your gut a little like, oh, that's me? No judgment here, ever. We're all figuring this out a little late. That's kind of the whole point of showing up. You're not bad with money, you just never had the system. Now go build it.